So we're going to talk about how to wholesale real estate step by step. This is Johnny and Moshe Kimber. I'm going to be the one asking the questions here because they are the experts, and we're just going to delve right into it. So, how do you wholesale real estate? How do you get into this? How do you get in the game if you're, a novice and you want to wholesale real estate, but you don't know where to start? Like, where did you guys start, and what advice would you have to people that just want to get into the game and want to learn more about it?
Well, Moshe, ladies first. Always get ladies first.
That's right, gentlemen.
Well, I tell you what,
I am a gentleman.
I will definitely hand this over to my husband because I didn't know anything about wholesaling at first. When we first met, he was doing his real estate thing. I was doing my real estate thing more on the retail sales side, and he was wholesaling. So when we met and he started telling me about what he was doing in the wholesale real estate thing, I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And this is like almost 12 years ago. So this is before it became this big thing that it is now. And so yeah, he literally taught me what he had learned. And then we just joined forces and started to put together sort of our own system, our own game plan or whatever. And man, it was a machine back then because it was like little small fish and big pond, because there wasn't a lot of people out there doing it. So that's how I got started in wholesaling. All credit.
Man, wholesaling has changed our lives. Wholesaling. We got into wholesaling. The question was how we got into it, right? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, kind of how you got into it, and then how, what advice you would give to somebody that wants to get into it and has no idea where to start.
Well, we got into it almost 10 years ago. Like I said, when we got into it, like my wife stated, when we got into it, it wasn't a lot of people doing it. It was some people doing it, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So the biggest thing I can say to a new person wholesaling is information. Make sure you got as much information around the process of wholesaling as possible, because there is so many strategies. There's so many different platforms of software, data that you can use to help you execute your strategy. So as a new wholesaler, my advice to a new wholesaler would be is A, be as knowledgeable and educated as possible in the space. And B, make sure that you have the right systems and are using the right softwares, because there's so much out there right now.
Yeah, and if I can offer one additional thing, I would say in C, find yourself a coach. Find yourself a coach, because even with the right information, the access to the platforms that make the systems more efficient, even with all of that, having somebody to literally guide you through step by step, one thing at a time, is so important, and it's going to help you to avoid a lot of the mistakes, because this wholesaling thing, it's not a one size fit all. And that's just in real estate in general. No deal, no two deals are alike. And so with all the information that you have, if you get a deal and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Because this is unique to the education that I got. And then you don't have anybody to sort of bounce it off of, then what do? You're at a stand, right? So I think coaching is in complement to everything that Johnny said is as important.
It's going to accelerate the process.
And I'm glad you said that, babe, because you know what? I didn't even mention that. I had a coach. Hello.
And can I say one more thing? It's been almost 12 years. We've been together doing it for 10. You were already doing it for 2. So that's collective 12. So give us.
Yeah, so I had a coach. His name was Steve Washington, a friend of mine. I told this story a lot, but a friend of mine was doing a lot of stuff with real estate. His name was Daryl Dorsey. He was doing a lot of stuff with real estate. And he was showing me, he was trying to show me how to do it, but he was busy.
Right.
He was building his brand. You know what I mean? So he was like, look, I got somebody that can help you. He's going to show you the game, but he charges you. I think at the time I paid, it was through the relationship, but he charged me $3,000. For $3,000, he offered to teach me wholesaling. And here is the special thing that he did that I thought was great. He said that he's going to walk me through my first 6 deals. And he told me that out of each deal, he's gonna walk me through A to Z, and then we're gonna split the profit. And then from his profit, he was gonna give me an extra $500. So basically, I had the opportunity to get all of my money back.
So you created a win-win situation for you.
It's a
so
win-win
you could get.
situation because he wanted to make sure I had skin in the game and was gonna put in the work. Because he was charging people $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 back then.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so
I think that's important in business as a whole, is to have that, because in people's minds, like, everyone's always wanting to invest in something, but they're skeptical if they're going to get their money back. So having that risk reversal is huge for people, because if they know that, okay, if I'm investing in this knowledge, then I'm going to make my money back. And we do that too with our real estate course, but we'll get into that later. Why don't you just break down wholesale for me in in a way that makes it easy for newbies? What is it? What is wholesale? What is wholesale in real estate?
so I'm gonna make it plain.
Yeah.
Wholesaling real estate is the act of finding a property, an off-market asset, which is the property, and without being too complicated, wholesaling is involved with finding a property, getting that property under contract. So you have the property, and then you have the contract, and there's a price point between the property and the contract with you and the seller. So you basically find the off-market property, you contract to purchase that property from the seller at a set price, and then you have a set amount of time to close that contract. Once you get a contract with the seller, at that point, you want to then find a buyer, an end buyer for the property. And that is when you have the wholesale deal. You're basically linking the seller with the buyer, and you're the middleman bridging the gap.
So you're like brokering properties, essentially, is what you're doing.
Exactly.
You're linking the buyers with the sellers, not having to physically.
All right, tell me
physically buy
them. My Home Depot, I got to call Home Depot calling me right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're busy. We're actively doing this stuff in real time.
In real time.
So
for real.
That's how it goes. So what would y'all say is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome to successfully learn to wholesale real estate? What was the hardest part about it?
I think the hardest part is just staying disciplined. I think the hardest part is creating a system, always tweaking the system as you get further and further into your career, and staying disciplined to the system. Because without the system, it's that old analogy, you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? So without a system, there's no marker on, sort of the work that you're doing, right? And so if you're just sort of throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks, and you don't have a way to go back and sort of what do you call it?
Like measure, track,
assess your system, right? Every part of your system has to be assessed. So if it's your lead generation, say if you set yourself a goal to do blank amount of lead gens per week, and then you set yourself a goal to do blank amount of procuring buyers, and you have this funnel of a system. And so as you're kind of monitoring your system, and you're like, well, I'm getting the leads, right? I got the buyers, right? But I'm not closing any deals. So maybe a part of your system that needs to be tweaked is your negotiation, right? Maybe you're not really good at negotiating, right? So maybe you need to go back and sort of, brush your skills and hone your skills on the negotiating part. Because if you're getting the sellers and you're not able to, and then you have buyers at the end of the deal, and something's falling short in the middle, it has to be your negotiation, because maybe you're not analyzing right. Even if you analyze right, maybe you're not now knowing how to negotiate with the seller. So keeping a system and tracking sort of where you're getting stuck, where you're falling short, helps you to know, okay, this is the area that I need to fine tune or get better at. So creating a system and staying disciplined to the system, and always refining your weak areas, I think is what the most challenging was for us.
I hear you on that. So what I hear you saying is that having a systematic way to actually go about it is what helped you be successful, because without that system, you're spontaneous and you're learning, but if you don't track your performance, then you don't know where you're falling short in specific areas, And let's be honest, to do something, to be a master at something, right, requires what? It requires discipline and it requires an immense amount of focus. And so I believe that anything in life that you want to master, you want to become good at, it does require a system because that's what we do as human beings. We optimize things. We want things to be as
Yes.
optimized as possible so that we can get the best performance. So you have your input and you have your output. So you're saying you're doing lead gen or you're doing negotiations. That's the input. So how can you optimize the input so that you're creating the maximum output as possible? So do you think that consequently, as a result of not having a system, people are going to can get discouraged and fail at the wholesale game just because
It's 100%, it's 100% success rate of failure without a system.
without a system?
You want to
And
successfully fail? Try doing this without a system.
so did y'all, I guess, take a system and kind of hone it in and make your own system off of what did you kind of like look at other people that were doing it successfully, take their system and then make your own system off of that system based on what was working for you and then refine that over time? Is that what y'all did?
Precisely.
Precisely. And I'm sorry about that, guys. I had a contractor that was we do renovations.
God,
So
Mr. I'm so busy. Okay, we get it. We saw you on the
somebody
phone,
called, I'm sorry.
dealing and stuff. Okay, we got you.
It's all over the place.
But yeah, back to what you said about the systems, and that's exactly what we did because we tried to model success, right? And at the same time, like my wife said earlier, my mentor had already been there, done that. So he was giving us systems, he was giving us different approaches because one thing about wholesaling, it's so many strategies, so many different strategies. So there's not one wrong strategy. It's just about the amount of work you put in.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah.
Because
And
they all work. They all work.
and
Oh,
to
what works best for you, right? What works
exactly.
best
I'm
for
like,
you.
and still to this day, we're always refining because things are it's life is an evolution. Everything changes every day. So what worked yesterday may not necessarily work today. So you can never stop, analyzing sort of best practices and implementing those things into your system.
Yeah, times they are changing, folks. They are
Times
changing.
are
We gotta get
changing.
we gotta get with them. We gotta get with them.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
let's do one more question. Let's do a closing out question. Why wholesale? What advantage does it have over traditional real estate methods?
You want to go first, honey?
Sure, I'll go first. Well, wholesaling is the real estate strategy that you can get into today without
Mm,
using
no
any
license, nothing like
no,
that. You don't
like
need
you don't have
you
to
don't need
use
that.
any money. Go ahead. What you say, Nick?
You don't even need a license, do you?
You don't need. Oh, absolutely not. That's one of the
Mm,
myths of wholesaling is that you need a license. You do not need a license to become a real estate investor. Are there some benefits? Absolutely, but we won't go off into the rabbit hole of the benefits. But wholesaling is just a vehicle that allows you to jump into real estate investing without using any money. Let me qualify that. Any money don't mean that you don't have to invest in your process and your systems. It means you don't have to have money to buy an actual house to call yourself an investor. So very, very low entry point in terms of financial commitment to start into wholesaling. And it's a really lucrative, very lucrative strategy that can help be the starting building blocks for you progressing in your investment career up to fix and flipping or buy and holding or, whatever it is you want to do. It's a great place to start.
Absolutely. And I think that the thing about wholesaling, man, it's something that you can literally take some information, apply it, and start making money ASAP. Like my wife said, you don't have to have a real estate license, so you don't have to go through the extenuous tons of hours of all of the work they have to put in. You literally can take your own efforts and apply them to the knowledge and literally get money within 30 days if you're putting forth the right work in the right systems. It's one of those things that where effort, time, and the ability to be consistent can equal a lot of success for you in the wholesale space.
I love it. Thank you all so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. And for everybody that's listening, we're going to do a shameless plug. Of course, we have a course. It's Real Estate Mastery. It's full real estate mastery. and it's everything that you need to know to successfully wholesale real estate, to execute the BRRRR strategy. What else am I missing?
Fix and flip.
To fix and flip, it's all. It's
how
everything
to
that
find
you
funding,
need.
how to get funded. You know, we got the coaching. You know, we can get you set on the right track. And one thing that we're very passionate about is we want to support you. We don't want to just throw you in a pile of 1,000 people and say, may the best man win. We want to, we put effective strategies in place for each individual student. Each individual member has to be nurtured and guided specifically based on where they are.
And let me just say this.
It's not a one system trick teaches all program, and a lot of people are doing that, and that's a disservice.
Yeah, and let me say this too. So we are like Nick said earlier in this conversation, we are actively doing what we are teaching people how to do. And so with that being said, the one-on-one sort of boutique coaching style that we have right now may not always be. Right? So we're only taking limited amount of people because we are running our business. We are actually doing the work, and there's 24 hours in a day, right? So just think about it from a standpoint of, you know, we only have a certain time capacity to dedicate to people who are truly serious. And so it's a very limited amount of people that we can take on, and we're certainly looking.
And we want to keep it intimate too, and we want to keep it focused on you too. So that is why we only take a certain amount of people. There's going to be a link below in the description. Y'all can click on that and schedule a discovery call and see if this makes sense for you. We do think that it will provide immense and ultimate ROI based on just what other people that have taken the course have successfully said, and based on having these experts guide you through real estate. So click on that link below to get started if you haven't already. It's how to wholesale real estate. Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you, Moshe. Until next time.
Excited, man. Let's go.